So welcome to episode 2 of Autodesk Pulse, where we speak to leaders and innovators in the architecture, engineering, and construction, as well as the design and manufacturing space about trends and current events. I'm Dean McClemens, your host, and I work as a channel development executive here at Autodesk. And today we're speaking with John Stewart. John leads the technical sales team for APAC, covering both architecture, engineering, and construction, or AEC, and design and manufacturing, or D&M. And he's been with Autodesk for over 14 years. John, welcome to Autodesk Pulse. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing really well. Thanks, Dean, for having me.
Good. Well, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time out. Look, we've got about 5 short questions for you, John, just to give listeners a taster of what you and your team are currently experiencing in your role in APAC. So just to kick things off, can you tell us a little bit about your primary role here at the company and what exactly your team help customers with in APAC?
Sure. So my team manages the technical pre-sales. So when customers engage with Autodesk and they're looking at our technology, we listen to what their challenges are, what their capabilities are, and then make recommendations around Autodesk solutions and how we would solve the problems they have, whether it's top line, bottom line, to really transform them and help them win more business.
Okay, that's great. That's definitely a valuable resource for the customers, I'm sure. And so what's your perspective, John, on the architecture, engineering, and construction sector at the moment in APAC, given this pandemic that we've all been going through? What are their key challenges right now, and how have the customers that you've been speaking with been adapting?
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely seeing different sectors that are, having growth, especially around government investment in some regions like Singapore. We're seeing where they're actually putting funds together, where they're, driving the market to expand and grow. And we definitely see roads and highways and infrastructure projects being a focus to try and stimulate their markets to bring the workforce back in and then build for the future. In other sectors around commercial, we definitely see a change and shift because of COVID, where companies are now looking at where they're going to host their employees. There's this hybrid model of working from home and working in the office. So there's definitely a shift in investment happening. And I think what a lot of people recognize too is that you need to be dynamic and support this workforce that can work from anywhere. So investing in digital technologies that allow for collaboration is definitely on the rise. We see a lot of companies actually now developing like digital CTOs who really are trying to help the companies understand where they can shift to the new normal. And that really then is driving a lot more engagement for companies like Autodesk, who are providing a digital a platform to be able to support design from anywhere, how to really maximize. And the future of work is shifting, and companies are starting to look at that. I think there was a report that said 6 years, we pulled in 6 years of digital transformation because of COVID. So a lot of our customers are definitely engaging with technology partners to try and understand how they can build for the future much faster than they expected.
Yes, I've seen that article myself. A lot of adoption has certainly been condensed as a result of all of this. And what about the design and manufacturing sector? Do you see many similarities for them, or do they have a different set of challenges?
We're definitely seeing governments looking at their supply chain and saying, okay, how do we reinvest in Industry 4.0? So again, there's stimulus coming into different regions to say, hey, we used to be dependent on overseas suppliers. So now how do we quickly address the local market and get more specific? So there's definitely the technology point of view is also coming into the design and manufacturing space, where they're looking at technology to be smarter, to be more flexible, more localized. So understanding how to set up factories that can be more dynamic and shift based on product line needs. And if you look at COVID, there was definitely a quick focus on how to support the medical industry with ventilators. So there's definitely an expansion happening and a review of how they're doing business today, and add that to the government investment. We're seeing a lot of activity happening in that space too.
Yeah, great. It's certainly been amazing to see some manufacturing companies being able to pivot. Some of them, change completely just so they can help make ventilators and everything. So there's been a couple of great stories about that out there as well. And so let's talk about the convergence of both of those areas, architecture, engineering, and construction, and the design and manufacturing industry. There's been a lot of talk about convergence. Why is that happening, John? And what exactly does that look like? Is it a natural progression?
I think what you see is that the strength of digital technologies in the manufacturing space has really developed a process that allows you to get those efficiencies. And I think with the global expansion and the growth that we see coming in 2030 and 2050, a lot of big construction companies are looking at saying, how do we truly leverage that knowledge and process, and there's a lot of great benefits of doing off-site manufacturing for the construction industry, and then bringing that in, and then building the buildings much faster, much safer, more true understanding of what the timeline. So I think if you look at the AEC industry, they're notoriously have overruns over budget, and looking at the manufacturing industry as a way to improve that and get that true efficiencies. So I definitely see the convergence happening. As a technology partner, Autodesk has a foothold in both industries, and we're starting to bring those technologies together as well. And I think the other key point is with the collaboration needed, and then the data that's getting created, having those be able to seamlessly flow is really helping with the inefficiencies that those industries have today, where there's a lot of handoff and duplication of effort and work. So a lot of the leading companies are really looking at industrial construction and really figuring out how can they leverage the strengths from the manufacturing industries to help their businesses. Yeah,
okay, it's great. It sounds like there's a lot of opportunities there then, looking to the future to make things a lot leaner. Very good. Yep. Very good. Okay, and so just to end, John, on a personal note, have there been any changes as a result of the pandemic that you've unexpectedly embraced or actually come to enjoy from all of this?
Yeah, I think when you look at working from home and getting more time back where you would have been traveling and being in longer meetings, I think we've got very efficient in how we manage our time, and the flexibility of getting access to people has been really good for what I do, because I can access people in America in the morning and then me in the evening, but yet still not be working 18 hours. So the flexibility, I think one of the outcomes as well, as I see, is we want to have shorter meetings, so we're getting more concise in the decision making and the conversations, and really that gives me a lot more access to people to understand how they're doing things maybe better in other regions, or I'm helping other regions around the world understand what we're doing better. So it's a real strong collaboration, and having access to people, I think, is one of the surprising things about COVID that I appreciate.
No, that's great. That's very true. You're certainly not missing the commute, though.
No, definitely not. Commuting here to San Francisco is a bit long and far.
It's a long way from Sydney.
Yeah, it is.
All right, well, great. Thank you very much, John. Look, we really appreciate you taking the time out of your very busy schedule amongst all those meetings. I know we've just scratched the surface here, so if anyone listening wants to learn more, you can check out our resources at autodesk.com.au, and I'll add the link to the notes below as well, or you can send John or myself a message on LinkedIn. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode of Autodesk Pulse. Thanks, John.
Thank you. See you. Thank you. Bye-bye.